Hello, folks. I'm going to wait a few minutes to start. Wanted to take advantage of doing a live stream in case I can't do it anymore because YouTube says so. Um, I didn't have much of an internet connection locally because my network was a little effed up, so uh, I had to fix that problem. Turned out that my VMware license got effed up, so I had to reset the whole bare metal appliance, as they call it. That as I VPN to the other network, because I want to share a few. Shit. So I wake up my mother downstairs. Walking up broken eggshells. So I want to start off talking about a couple different subject matters. Yesterday, I found out that my mother has. Hold on, I'm still trying to get back online here. My mother was telling me about her. Take this again, Stephen. I should tape this. That she she talked about finance stuff and taxes without taxes and stuff like that. Whether or not what to do when my mother was to pass before me, and because we were talking about Graham because it was Wednesday, and I'm trying to make every Wednesday be think of Graham. It's the whole idea why my mother has Wednesdays off and she works on Saturdays. Because she took the all the bereavement every personal day, so by the time November came, she didn't get enough sympathy at work because she was so addicted to all the sympathy, right? And and again, as you folks know, I've not gotten much. And yesterday, I was feeling very invalidated on when we were out. I was telling her about how I feared what was going to happen. Okay, because my grandmother was in the hospital exactly 1 year ago in not not knowing that she was going to be dying. Okay, just double check my plug in. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, so unbeknownst to me, I think we were playing Connect Four this time. I think it was the 20. I think it was Labor Day weekend. She beat me in 8 rounds. Unfortunately, we didn't get to 10 because of things went downhill. Okay, so for me, I've not been able to process this death that much because I had to support my mother, making sure she wouldn't lose her shit, and the mental health problem with my other family member, right? So there's a lot that's been going on in the last 12 months, and I have not been able to process this death. Okay, ironically, that this is not a new subject to talk about, just people are not willing to have the serious conversation of how do we help people in my group of people to have the ability or help them through this. It's almost like we have to wait for 100 people in a state to go through these very emotionally, very turbulent, at times very turbulent and sudden. Okay, I knew her situation was serious, but I didn't know to the extent. Um, I, I'm not going, I don't know what you're talking about. I just don't see that in the chat. Um, but again, the whole idea that we're not talking about death and how all that, like, it was, I think, in, um, what was it? When did I learn death? What was like on like September 18th of last year? Okay, this was like it happened very quickly, but it wasn't like in minutes. Um, okay, we are already getting trolls here. I am going to. So, alright, we'll just try to make sure I get all those comments on the live chat um, removed because they were personal, attacking in nature. Okay, this is supposed to be a safe space to talk about being neglected by our state and our government and its people, which is a good segue for me to get into because um, when my grandmother had her first situation, which was in December 2019, I had just blocked like 40 people on Facebook, 20 friends, and then the other 20 were SOs, whether they were, okay, we're getting all the weirdos, huh? Yeah, we'll see how this continues, because I'm really not in the mood to deal with trolls this evening. Because I'm going to be very firm on here. Like, if you're going to sit here and trivialize this platform, I'm going to do what I need to do. So again, a lot of my millennial friends, a lot of my typical millennial peers were not there at that point, and then coincidentally, my grandmother was in the hospital for her first situation. Hello, Angry Aziz. Okay, hi. And so I'm not going to comment on that one. If you want to talk about my videos or comment on the subject matters related to my platform, I will respond to that. That's what I'm going to do. If you're going to engage me, if you're going to troll, I'm not going to comment. So the whole idea of having social connections, having the hands, having the network, and all that, right? I didn't have that in 2018. So this should have been a ticking time bomb, because my fear was my grandma would have died from the Rona, right? Or God forbid something like that was to happen, right? So 4 years of dealing with this angst, because that by that point that would have been September 2023, and I am it's been a lot, and I am just it's been a lot, and I actually um, in some ways I've been feeling, you know, similar to what my mother has felt with in terms of people not understanding the sympathy. Um, I think it's a lot worse because this had I've been trolled on not just this platform but on my other platform, the youth gathering platform, for a comment that I made, and people had taken it over to my channel and divert my content with their counter rhetoric of my counter rhetoric I made in a comment in a video. Um, and so, I said it in a comment that my grandmother fucking died. What do you think I'm feeling right now? And um, and when I did the video of the status update on my grandmother died, I had 10 downloads. There's not one like. Um, So that's what I've been dealing with for almost a year now. And we're not going to talk about this because death is, you know, like talk about sex and money and all that. It's just, we're not going to talk to you because you people can't process death, right? That's the kind of shit that makes me feel very like uncomfortable, or not uncomfortable, feel not wanted. And you know, I'm probably going to take my bereavement now, you know, this month. I haven't had time for me to process this stuff, you know, and and again, I had really nowhere to go other than my therapist and my therapist and my therapist. That's really not the best solution. Um, and again, not being able to kind of emote the way I want to emote right now. I'm really just angry at how people are so apathetic and how people don't have um, um, the apathy, the, the lack of caring. Too many people are focused on their own little world, and they can't have the chance to they don't. I've not been able to express how I really feel about this. So um, it's very lonely. And of course, like if I post this video on, if I was to post this as a tape thing on YouTube, it probably would be another place for people to just like make fun of me and and stuff like that. This isn't funny. Okay, I'm 37 years old. I've gone through like one of the first, like I've gone through 3 different deaths in the last 7 years, and this one is my first close one later in my life. And with all the various things that involve with my emotional regulation and all that, like I get it. No one's interested in what goes in one's head. Just shows how really bad things are. I posted in a community post, I believe, something about um, speed eating, because I reached out to a program in Manchester that is on the ABA sector, and asked the individual about the social groups, if they're still clinically driven, and they are. And she cut to the chase, stupid millennial that individual was, and recommended me to the speed eating in the Nashville area. And I'm like, I know what speed eating is. I'm just tired of these time constraints and having to like fit into this very like tight, fast-paced crap. because I said in the email, like, I know this is going to be a very unpopular and very uncomfortable topic to discuss, but I like to be with somebody special. And what can we do about that? Again, like I said, the family support conference, the advocacy circles, they're just so distracted on nuance and words and what's so ableist, but not the system that is kind of screwing us over, kind of. And it's like, screw them, right? And I mean, we're not going to talk about really serious, pressing issues that are you know, like romance and relationships. You know, we'll talk about it once every 10 years, but we're not going to have actual conversations because it's just, it's not, not politically correct, I guess. Um, these are things like I was going to post in separate videos, and I might still do it because I'm live. I'm a little bit frazzled right now. I was trying to find my lav mic, and then I had the windsock, but I didn't have the lav mic. So then I found the lav mic, but wanted the windsock, so so no ambient noise like this fan would pick up in the mic, because I kind of try to be mindful with audio quality here, because sometimes my streams are like a shit show, so I don't want to make it look like that. This is another thing that I wanted to share, and I posted this on Facebook, and if you are on Facebook, give it a like, please. It would help me build that audience there, so I can stream on Facebook. But there is something that I posted a while back. Or actually, it wasn't a while back. It was a few weeks ago. I was searching it when I was at the psych ward with my uncle, my family member, and wasn't supposed to have the phone on in the unit, but I wasn't recording or capturing anything. I just like had my phone on me. But I was looking about the Asian culture, and if the Asian culture really accepts us, and if you're somebody of Asian descent, half Japanese, well, I'm here to tell you that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you're feeling what you're feeling, because it sucks. Um, one other thing I want to talk about is my mother told me also yesterday she's concerned about law enforcement coming up on the door, because I posted something on my personal Facebook that sounded like self-harm in undertones, but she kind of was, I guess, traumatized by what happened back a year ago. But remember, what happened a year ago was that person knew where I lived, so that's why um, that happened, was because that individual knew where I lived. What I didn't tell my mother is, with all this rhetoric that I get on this channel, that I'm afraid that we might get swatted. I haven't said it. I don't want to say that too much, but I'm just gonna like go move on, because I can't trust some of these people here. I think there's so much hatred for my group of people that it's disgusting. It's some days you just don't want to get out of your bed, because people want you not to exist, and it really sucks. I'm trying to find the link here. This is where the topic is on if you're part Asian or if you're full blood Asian, because that's one of the things. If you are a typical Asian person, is that they want you to be good in your academics, and so you could go. Um, it's all about status, right? If you're not the golden child, the perfect child, you're gonna be ostracized. That's what happened to me. If I had ADHD solely, they probably wouldn't write me off. So I found when I did the search a couple of weeks ago, with regards to, I think it's the Japanese culture with autism, it's not a really good prognosis. I'll show you a screen grab that I posted. Japanese society values conformity to social norms and politeness, and autistic people may act in ways that might be impolite or disturbing. According to one study, autism is stigmatized more in Japan than in the United States. So if you thought it was bad here, it's going to be worse over there. But again, the Japanese culture is, not to be seen, or to be seen but not heard, and you just follow a line of. I use clusterfuckery on my other channel when it comes to corporate flattening of media outlets. The Japanese culture is clusterfuck. That's the way they are. But I found two articles, one from a Smithsonian blog, and then another site. And these were both published year to date in 2024, not a year ago, not a couple years ago, just in this year alone, year to date 2024. This one's from April. Anna Wang explains that some Asian parents believe that having a child with developmental issues is a source of shame. As a result of this cultural stigma, they ignore symptoms of conditions like autism, so that many children will never receive proper diagnosis, care, or accommodations. That these children grow up with limited access to appropriate services or environment that they need to lead a successful and comfortable life. And this is in the Bay Area with a huge Asian penetration. And let me read a little bit further because I hadn't read this in a couple weeks. East Asian, right? That's what I was going to say too. Eastern Asian cultural stigmas regarding autism. Autism is a fairly recent diagnosis in East Asian countries. While the term itself has been used in Western regions for over a century, it was not an official diagnosis in China until the 1980s. A 2016 CDC report found that roughly one in Asian Asian and Pacific Islander children in the U.S. identified as being on the autism spectrum. However, Rushi, I can't pronounce the name, a disability researcher, found that disabled Asian Americans are underserved and receive lower quality support and rehabilitation compared to other groups, including Latinos and Blacks. I was taught to not openly admit that we have a child with special needs, Wang said. I believe that one of the reasons why parents have this mentality is that the Asian and Asian American culture places great importance on being accomplished in both an academic and career spheres. From way back when, Asian parents pride themselves on children going to Stanford and all the Ivy League schools. Rather than, and most of my family they barely got a high school diploma, but my paternal Asian family. They're like old school working class, like Americans, I guess. Rather than to feel such criteria, they try to hide the fact that they have a child with special needs. They pretend that they don't exist, hide them at the home, and make sure they don't go out when it continues. However, many autistic, I wonder why that's in capital A, autistic individuals do attend college and pursue successful careers. Through her efforts in the organization, Wang hopes to help demonstrate that many capabilities are those are on the spectrum. Again, April of this year, a Chinese woman, I believe, and again, the Asian culture is like the last, right? Conservative. It's kind of just like going in the South, but just on the other part of the world, right? In the Pacific. It's just like it's like the U.S. South in the far East Asian countries, and it really does suck because if you have it, you're kind of dead. It's like a death sentence. It really is a death sentence. it's very demoralizing to be ostracized by your family just because you're a little bit quirky, and often it's not your state, it could, or trait, it's a state situation. It could be more anxiety, not knowing what's going on with your family, because the family has poor boundaries, right? And that for me, that's for me, I didn't know that till after the fact. And I don't think people understand this. People don't understand what we go through. And it really sucks to be living with this. And the idea that people are not, they're not going to do anything to help us. And I'm concerned for my own future. I'm concerned that, my mother's not going to get her house owner. So that means if she goes before I go, then God only knows what's going to happen to me. I don't want to say that I live with shame, but I live in a shame of, I feel so bad I can't be somewhat successful to my own little community. Um, that that there is like a shame in the state of feeling guilt. I feel like I haven't done enough to try to be something unique and be of a purpose. And unfortunately, that's a stigma that I carry with. But again, with the numbers of autism, it could be very much underreported, particularly in the Asian culture, because the Asian culture is perfection. I have a problem with that, but sometimes flooring the gas pedal on perfection, I don't think it's a good thing. And I think that's what's happened to so many kids. And if you are Asian, if you're of a certain age, if you're in your 30s, please, if you are watching this on playback, please respond in the comments. I would love to hear if you guys are in similar boats as I am, because it really does kind of suck when you feel like you're anchoring the family down to submerging them. And well, I didn't say it in the earlier part, but the Asian culture, there wasn't any where if there was a wild child, they would throw them into the hills for the wolves to eat them up, or some idiom like that. I think it's a Chinese phrase, idiom. So this isn't completely out of the norm. And it does suck. It really does suck. Um, I wish more people could talk about the subject instead of just having this be like buried. Um, People who claim to be for disability rights. We're disabled too. We're not in wheelchairs, but we qualify for services, but yet the services are not there for us. So we accrued all this backlog of funds because there's nobody qualified to. Can you hear me? I'm hoping you can hear me. I've been like making sure that this is working. Let me just do a check on YouTube on my desktop here so I can just. I thought people were hearing me, but I'm just gonna just check because sometimes the microphone. Let me just do a quick check. I do this very lo-fi on this channel. I do more hi-fi production, but I just want to double check if I could just hear if you can hear me. Yeah, and actually it's real time. That's surprising. Okay, so just turn up your volume. Yeah, it's because I'm using a lav mic, and I know when it's plugged into this to my iPad, it does go lower, but if I plug it on my older iPhone, it does have a normal volume. So just an FYI, it's just the way it's set up. I'll try to improve it in the future. Yeah, thank you. Dreaming Distortion. It's an interesting handle. Um, the other thing I was going to discuss about was because I'm really probably going to be going off for a while, just given what's going on, is I talk a lot about living with this, living with people who don't understand it, don't understand the things I go through, and not having peace and stability and stuff like that. And it's the thing I need the most. I need a lot of things in my life, and it's like human capital. And the reason why I talk about this subject so much, I started talking about this in my mainstream stuff probably in the last 7 years because I was starting to go into denial, right? Remember, I from like 20. That was the other thing. That this is. Let me rewind myself for a moment. 30 years ago is when I was diagnosed, and 25 years ago is when it was brought to my attention. 15 to 16 years ago, I was started the denial, the grieving, the denial, the bargaining, the reasoning of a diagnosis, right? What a parent goes through. You don't think we go through it? We do, in different ways. So, one of the reasons why my diagnosis was later, or got later, is because my mother fought against it because she didn't want me to be labeled. But in order to get more funding in the 504, was that you had to go through a diagnosis. I think it was called catastrophic floods in New Hampshire. So my mother, but her concern was right on that people would clinically look at me. You know, this guy presents autism. I have some books down in my bookcase from the 1980s where autism is this very static syndrome where you treat it with what has worked in evidence-based bullshit, evidence-based. I'm also trying not to talk too loud so that the voices don't carry downstairs, so my mom doesn't know I'm streaming. Just wanted to, this came out of my mind. But again, static treatments, static, evidence-based, blah, 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 right? Justify, 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 justify ignorance, justify outcomes, justify stereotypes, okay? Because what I feel like what I'm dealing with is I'm a walking stereotype. And that's not a good feeling to be a walking stereotype because we don't stereotype other people. Oh, we certainly don't want to be stereotyping the better Asian people, right? That would be racist, right? Or any other cultures, but autism has been the pinata for, I would say, in modern history, the last 15 years, particularly in the last few years. Like I said, you could be listening to a red pill guy say that, how does it feel for a young man living with autism, figuring out the dating market, right? The condition isn't the reason. I go so far to say that the so-called dating market is being objectified by hyper alpha men that think women are things and we're not, we're not flesh and blood, right? So who's the one that's got the loose nuts? The autistic individual or that typical guy that's on podcast saying that young men with autism are incels and we can't figure out the dating market? I don't want to be in this like CBOE, like putting a put on that chick for a 10 and put a call on this other, 304 kind of thing. I know the markets. That's why I use the lingo. But seriously, why? What? Who's got the looser nuts? And guess what? We always get screwed over. We always get screwed over, and um, it sucks. It really, really, really sucks um, to to be picked on. I I I don't care whatever developmental delay you have, whether even if you have Down syndrome. There's more sensitivity to people with Down syndrome, comparably speaking, to people with autism. It's almost like we're a bunch of beta males, and we gotta take the hits because we can't take criticism. Really keep kicking in the nuts until we we're gonna kick you in the nuts. Because you're not manly enough, and we need to haze you into compliance. But those people that are hazing you are basically feminist scholars, feminist theories, women that are going into UBA or paraprofessionals that really are that they just love their feminism. That's in my experience. I mean, my middle school program, most of the women were feminist types. They hated all the men except the ones that they were married to, and got laid and had babies, and then they would kiss these babies, a couple years after ripping souls out with their bare hands with blood. They would go home, wash their hands with blood, and then have babies and kiss them, goodnight. And meanwhile, they basically stripped all our abilities, basically snipped our dicks and stuff like that. And they just look at it, it's just a job. No humility whatsoever, right? Just narcissism. If these people have very toxic personalities that they thought that they were the hottest thing since sliced bread, that they could just literally harm people figuratively, emotionally, gaslight them, slander them to their parents when they would get home from with teacher student notes, and then gossip. Oh, we were gossip. I don't care about FERPA. FERPA is, their view is protecting it from outsiders, not protecting it from the inside. Because if anything, HIPAA and FERPA, it's just further allows a culture of secrecy, not openness, where you don't give third parties the personal information of a student or a client if it's HIPAA, right? I don't know if I've done a video on that. I'll have to look, or what I've written on my site. I think I talked about it on the surface, but HIPAA and FERPA um, are actually enable bad behavior. And so how do we disable bad behavior? Well, I think the only way to disable bad behavior is to actually practice good behavior and call out what is good, and call in what is good, and call out what's bad. Unfortunately, there's very few people that are going to be rewarded for doing the right thing. So um, that's why I call myself the hopeless autistic. It's living in a hopeless situation that nothing is going to change. And you have to let a lot of things go. Too many people are in this field that should not be in this field, that are doing incredible damage. Incredible damage. And you're not going to be held accountable, because there's no way to hold people accountable in this state. We're supposed to obey the authority. We're supposed to respect them because they're like our parents. We must obey them, even if they are screwing people over. I think I'm gonna end it here. I hope that people, if you could hear me, I was talking low because I want my voice to carry. I didn't want my neighbors to hear me. And I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from here. I'm not supposed to be on YouTube, basically. I'm not supposed to be on Facebook. I'm not supposed to have a blog. I'm not supposed to have intelligence. I'm not supposed to be able to speak. I'm supposed to have an IQ of like 60 to, 60, right? From temperature. And I'm not supposed to know anything. And so, and, um, and it really sucks when it's not even subtle anymore. It's so over. It's so disgusting. It's so, like, how do you, like, wake up every morning? What's there to live for? Um, what is there to live for if there's nothing to live for? If you're just basically the scapegoat, the broken child versus the golden child. Um, it's it's a hard world. Life isn't easy, but it shouldn't be unfairly or unjustifiably complex for the sake of unjustifiable complexity. Alright, folks, we'll see you in another live stream or another video. But I'm not going to answer too many questions just yet. I'm a little bit, I know that this channel is probably got a lot of views because, again, autism is not supposed to be a topic we're supposed to talk on social media. We're too stupid. So that's why I probably have a lot of eyeballs. It's probably not in a good way either. So, right, bye-bye.